Joining me now, Democratic Virginia Senator Tim Kaine, who serves on the Budget and Foreign Relations Committees. Senator, bipartisan majorities have supported foreign aid. It's 0.5% of the federal budget. Usually, no matter whether it's a Democratic president or Republican president, in my experience, Congress adds to it. And on top of which, I'm told that 95% of the USAID budget is earmarked. We've gotten rid of earmarks on a lot of domestic programs, but not on foreign aid. So these are items, whether it's health or food or energy, that are specifically put in by members of Congress from both parties.
Andrea, you're right. USAID and more broadly our foreign assistance budget, it's a small part of the foreign assistance budget. Let me quote somebody who actually knows something about the U.S. government, unlike Elon Musk. General Jim Mattis, when he was before us to be confirmed as Donald Trump's first Secretary of Defense, and he was asked about the foreign assistance budget, he said, if you cut that, you're going to have to give me more money for bullets. Because the foreign assistance budget is what builds the network of alliances that we have that helps keep us safe. We had a hearing earlier this morning with Admiral Paparo, who is the head of the Indo-Pacific Command, and he talked about the need for us to expand our alliances in the Indo-Pacific and acknowledge that one way you do that is not only through military sales, which Donald Trump has stopped except to Egypt and Israel, but also through humanitarian aid, foreign aid, commerce, trade, all of these things that are now being questioned. And the shutting down of USAID, it's illegal to do that because it's contrary to a congressional appropriation and a statute creating the agency. But more importantly, it's hurting us abroad because it creates a huge vacuum. China and Russia just rub their hands when something like this happens because they then go in and fill the vacuum left by the U.S. not being present.
Well, in fact, on December 11th, I had the final interview with Samantha Power, her farewell to the agency that she had led. And her lead item was a warning that Russian and Chinese propaganda were beginning to try to criticize our foreign aid and work their way in. Obviously, this is post-election. They could see what was coming. And that Russian propaganda is already just going viral in just the last couple of days. She wasn't, we're not yet aware of what China is doing, but that Russian propaganda is now absolutely going off the charts.
Oh, and Andrew, I'm aware of what China is doing. I've been at this a while. When the U.S. steps back in an obvious way, these adversaries lean forward. To Elon Musk's claim that USAID is a ball of worms, there's an NGO that's based in Richmond, my hometown, called the Child Fund. It used to be called the Christian Children's Fund. They do programming for low-income kids all over the world. They've been doing it for a century. They do work with USAID, Mercy Corps, Church World Services, World Vision, Bread for the World. These are really powerful groups that have direct connection with folks on the ground, and the work they do there creates enormous goodwill for the United States. So how this kind of billionaire, offshore Bitcoin guy, would come in and look at these hardworking, often church-based NGOs and just with a broad brush trash them all, shut employees out of the workforce. He could care less about the needs of these struggling people who are getting food aid or health care assistance or vaccines. He doesn't care about them at all. And the fact that Donald Trump has let this guy just run roughshod because he, spent $240 million on the campaign, it's shocking. Virginia didn't vote for Donald Trump, but 47% of Virginians did. They weren't voting, I can assure you this, they weren't voting for Donald Trump to let Elon Musk run roughshod over federal programs and countermand congressionally appropriated budgets.
Let me just play something that that Secretary of State Marco Rubio has just said. He's in Costa Rica today, continuing his Latin American tour, and he was asked at a news briefing about USAID.
I have long supported foreign aid. I continue to support foreign aid. But foreign aid is not charity. If it saves lives, if it's emergency life-saving aid, food, medicine, whatever, they have a waiver. I don't know how much clearer we can be.
So that is going to be a key issue because, as you know, the secretary has supported foreign aid. He's voted for it, and it's half the budget of the World Food Program, the food going into Gaza.
Yep.
USAID has also supported grain in Ukraine after the Russians closed the Black Sea, so they got them back on the feet, exporting grain to the world, which caused famines in Egypt and elsewhere.
Yeah, and we had medicine that couldn't be distributed in the Sudan, and we did get the secretary to grant a waiver. But here's the problem: if you freeze everything, and then, well, but you know, I'll consider a waiver. We don't exactly know the standard that they're using to determine what is a waiver. We have some reason to believe that the way the secretary is defining humanitarian aid is much narrower than I think a layperson would understand humanitarian aid to be. So freezing everything, but then ask me on a case-by-case basis, and I'll decide, you know, if I'm going to let you do this program or not. That's just a recipe of death by 1,000 cuts, gridlock, paperwork, delay everybody till they get worn out and they want to do something else. We need to have clarity, and that is one of my largest complaints in the first 2 weeks of this administration. Andrea, the administration is not telling Congress, here's what we're going to do. We learn about it when constituents reach out. It was last Monday when constituents told me, I'm a veteran. I can't get on the VA portal and set up an appointment. My community health centers that are funded and normally get paid at the end of the month, the safety net, they didn't get their month-end payment at the end of January. We didn't know that because the administration told us. We knew that because the health centers started to reach out and raise questions about whether they could keep serving patients. So whether it's foreign assistance abroad or health care right here at home or service to veterans, everything is up in the air. No one really knows what the answer is because the administration isn't being transparent.
You assume that RFK Jr. is going to get confirmed now that Senator Cassidy, the chair of the Health Committee and a medical doctor, has said he's overcome his objections and he's going to vote for him?
Well, I know that's what he said. I know Senator Cassidy, and I have grave doubt whether his objections have been overcome. He has said that he's going to vote for him, and that would suggest, yes, the Vegas odds would be that Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is not just an anti-vax advocate, he's a 9/11 conspiracy theorist. I asked him about that at his confirmation hearing before the Health, Education, Labor, Pension. The fact that Republicans would vote for somebody who says he won't take sides about 9/11, this is not the Republican Party that I've been familiar with during my entire life.